Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast where we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
And I'm Rob Cabasco. And Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and Deep Purple. Three of the original musical giants of a rock music genre called heavy metal. Speaking of heavy metal, did you know that osmium is one of the heaviest materials on Earth, weighing twice as much as lead per teaspoon? Osmium is a chemical element in the platinum group metals. It's often used as alloys in electrical contacts and fountain pen nibs. Why would I talk about the heaviest metals for the closing minute of Season 3 of the Marvel Movie Minute? Okay, let me just say something to you.
Because things are getting heavy?
I was going to, because there's a heavy metal in the final minute, and I already did the hammer talk. We've hammered to death hammers,
yes, we've hammered
so I
hammers.
couldn't do hammers, so I went with the heavy metal. What are we doing here? What is this?
We're getting heavy here at minute 125 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, directed by Mr. Jon Favreau. This is the final minute of Iron Man 2.
Oh, what?
And it is also the final episode with Kyle Olson and Rob Cabasco as hosts of the Marvel Movie Minute.
It is. I won't get emotional. I said I won't, but I'm excited. Mm-hmm. This has been such a blast. We're going to talk about the minute, and then we got a bunch of things, and people to thank and everybody. But just so exciting! What a ride this has been.
It is, and obviously the ride is not over yet because we still got a job to do before we start getting all maudlin because we are in the middle of the post-credit scene. So when we left, we had a license plate had slammed into the camera, but Kenneth Branagh's a professional, so we stopped it from doing any damage. But now we cut to the car, and a foot steps out of the car.
Nice shoe.
It was a nice shoe, very nice black shiny shoe, very federal agent shoe, and it's attached to a leg, and that leg is attached to Agent Phil Coulson, Mr. Clark Gregg himself, a past guest of this particular show.
Yes, friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Why not? Friend of the show.
Well, we're reaching at the end. No, there's no lanes now.
What are they going to do? Fire us?
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. I kicked the can over on my way out.
That's right. So this is why we said there was not a picture wrap on him when he left Tony working on the Starkium back in there, because this is his actual final appearance in this movie, even though technically it's the first appearance in the next movie. So we see an interesting angle. We see from a very low angle, sort of looking out over a ridge. We see him at a distance, standing next to the car with his, trademark aviator shades, sort of looking out at something. We don't know what it is. But then when the camera pans around, we see looking down into the desert, there is a giant crater. Something has apparently hit or gone down, or a sinkhole or something. A huge crater. But unfortunately, he's not by himself, because the crater is surrounded by people. There are all sorts of vehicles and cars and lots of commotion going on. All civilians. So there's no cops, there's no military, there's nothing. It's just like regular citizens running around. Townfolk, yeah. I'm not going to go through the list of all the cars there, but the one that's noticeable is a red truck in the front. And, of course, we're going to leave it to Andy and Matthew to get deep about what's significant about the red truck and who's driving it and why it's there.
Correct. That's great, though. That's awesome. Yeah. It's there. And
that's right.
Yes.
So that was well done. That was some very good foreshadowing there. Right. So then we have Agent Coulson then takes out his phone, and he calls and says, "Sir, we found it." Which is an interesting line. So presumably we're meant to assume that he's talking to Nick Fury.
Right.
So that's the sir. But you didn't find it. You're not a we.
Well,
I mean, they knew that something came down, so they sent him there to find out what it was. He's the advance man.
they've I don't know, their social media.
Why isn't it I found it? Because it's just you. Like there's no one else in the car.
Oh, he's a team player. He's the ultimate team player. That's immediately going into we did it.
True.
We're doing this.
Yeah.
Or he's just saying us and all these other people that we're going to have to either sign NDAs or electrocute. One of the two.
That's right. They don't have the handiness of the Men in Black flashy thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's going to go either way. So, I mean, maybe that's it. Yeah, no, it is an interesting use, though, and especially because that's it. That's all he says.
Right, that's all he says.
So those words, were chosen carefully. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
But a great shot. I mean, I love the whole shot of... we have this wonderful... I mean, and he's in the typical SHIELD outfit. Black suit, black tie with some nice gray stripes, light blue shirt. He looks sharp. Again, friend of the show. That's why I got to tell him that.
That's right.
And then a perfectly composed shot. Him on the right, perfect focus. And just the crater. And like you said, all the cars and the red pickup. And it just looks awesome. Yeah. And if you didn't think that could get more awesome... The next shot is more awesome.
Yeah, you can already see a difference in sort of the filmmaking style here.
Yes.
You can see the wide angle, like the difference that Kenneth Branagh's looking at, maybe even in just apertures or whatever lenses he's choosing with his DP, which I don't even know. We'll let the other guys handle that. Right. Yeah, but you can already see it's a different sort of visual language they're already using just in these couple of shots. And then, yeah, you're right. We flip around. And then we go from a very low angle. We can see him sort of standing on the ridge, and the camera pulls back, and we see a strap, and we see a handle, and we see a head, and oh my goodness, it's Mjolnir.
It's pretty great.
It's pretty great. Yeah, I mean, like this is the first time any of us had ever seen it.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh yes, it looks perfect.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
I have seen since then a bunch of different redesigns have really over-designed Mjolnir, I would say. Like they add in all this extra filigree and things to what's essentially a war hammer. And like when it first shot, it's the iconic, straight out of the comic book, like from Jack Kirby's pen, Mjolnir.
If you go back, I remember seeing this in the theater. And I remember, like, people just got excited. Like, there were a little bit of gasps. I even remember that. I think, opening week, that first week. And if you even go back now and do a search and read some of the blog posts and things from 2010, people just gushed over, they nailed it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no pun intended. but they really did. They nailed it. It's exactly what you would expect in real-world visualization of what should look like. That's it. And... I'm going to say this. I think as much credit as Iron Man, the original Iron Man, gets for building the first cornerstone of the MCU, this shot is the tipping point. Because I really honestly think, Incredible Hulk, we know where the flaws were, and obviously everyone I think understands that. You had Iron Man 2 that is not a perfect movie, but to see this. And people got excited and realized, oh no, they're doing it.
Yeah,
this is happening.
Yeah, yeah. We talked about that in the interview when we were introducing Matthew and Andy back to the show. That the audacity of this
absolutely
is still. Even now, all these years later, I'm just so astounded that they thought it worked. I always would be more conservative what I think people could handle.
Right.
Every time that a big concept comes up, I was like, no one's going to believe, no one's going to buy this. Like, I guess I underestimate the audience of going like, well, nerds will like it, but like mainstream, like you're not going to be able to convince people to really take as a threat a 9-foot-tall purple guy with magic stones in his hand. And now like a regular person, like a regular guy on the street knows who Thanos is and what the Infinity Gauntlet is. Yeah, that's amazing that they've gotten to this point where these ridiculous concepts, these crazy things that people were just doing just to keep another issue coming out of whatever comic they're writing are now part of the culture. And of course, this is all part of a long conversation because obviously Stan Lee didn't come up with Mjolnir. It's from Norse mythology. So he's continuing on that storytelling tradition of they were telling stories of Thor thousands of years ago, and now this is just another tale of Thor. And when this is gone, then someone else will pick up this thing and tell another tale of Thor. It's continuing on in the same way that Stan Lee was the first one to tell a Spider-Man story. We're going to be telling Spider-Man stories for centuries. You know, it's going to live on. It's all part of the storytelling continuum. But it still is amazing to me that this is mainstream.
Oh no, I totally agree. And this moment is a big part of that.
Yes.
I mean, I really do. Not just the 3 movies, but this part as well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have a wonderful... I mean, if that wasn't cool enough, then there is some just a brilliant audible clue that really then sends you over the edge.
That's right, because it immediately cuts to black, and we hear a peal of thunder, because, of course, Thor is the god of thunder. So just to cement that thing of like, oh yeah, we're doing it, people. I mean, 'cause that's the thing. This post-credit scene is really always designed for the faithful, you know, like the hardcore, the nerd, like the people who are like us, yeah, obsessively documenting stuff online and following every single move that they make.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and of course, then we have the Marvel Studios logo, followed by the Paramount logo, because like we said, this was still a Paramount film at the time, and then cut to black, and the end.
Wait, that's it?
That's it. Like, sometimes they even would put text on screen of, like, Thor will return and whatever, but, like, nope. They're like, the peal of thunder, that's all you need. Like, that is it. And that is a wrap on Clark Gregg. Iron Man 2.
There we go.
He'll be back, but that was at the end of the side. So that's a wrap for everybody. What? Martini, everybody.
Everybody, go grab your whatever it is, your beverage of choice. Wow. Okay, so
we've been through it.
We did it. So here's the deal. First thing, the movie.
Yep.
We started off. I was a huge fan of this movie.
Yep.
You not so much.
You mean not so much.
So where are we now? You got turned a little bit, didn't you?
I did get turned a little bit. I mean, because there's a lot. I mean, the thing is, I didn't hate Iron Man 2.
Right.
Like, I mean, I didn't come in there. I mean, there are films out there that I'm like, I wish this film didn't exist.
Sure.
Iron Man 2 is not one of them.
Sure.
But it is also frustrating too, because like as I go through, I can see the sheer amount of hard work that people put into it and the amazing stuff that came out of it, and yet these severe structural and story flaws that they just sort of either patched over, or it was probably the result of heavy negotiations between very powerful people that just they went, we just have to this is what we're going to end up having to do. And I get it. I do have a more of a respect for it here at the end. I mean, like I really think it is a strong film, but it's still like the fundamental problems I have with it are still there, and some of them were like, even examining it, are even more. They like, oh, I didn't even think about that. That's even
that's even more screwed up. What?
Right, but see, it has nothing against all my criticisms come down to basically those things. Like, I don't have a problem with any of the performances in the movie. I mean, like, it's shot beautifully. Matthew Libatique, like, nailed it. The stunt team was amazing. Of course, another shout out to Heidi Moneymaker. I mean, the visual look of it, the effects are still hold up.
Oh, yeah.
11 years later, and it's still like a gold standard in terms of visual effects. It's amazing to me. Now to you who came in like, this is a fantastic movie, I watched it 100 times, it's fantastic. How are you feeling about the movie, having gone through this experience?
So I still really do. This movie has a place in my heart. I really enjoy it. I will say the two things I'm surprised at is I went into this knowing that there were things that I knew were flawed. You know, but I mean, Ivan, the whole him getting smashed with the car. I mean, that still makes no sense, right? We understand that,
right?
There are some things with the critical eye that are far more problematic than I thought, and really getting into the dialogue, as we talked about. I mean, again, it is what it is. It hasn't aged. Some of it just has not aged well.
True,
but I still just find it to be so enjoyable, and I will tell you, it's one of those things where when it hits on all cylinders, it's so good. Like, I still cannot get enough of the suitcase suit up scene.
Yes.
Like, it just works so well on every level. And I think maybe one of my most enjoyable moments of you going through this movie with you has been the detail of like the drones. We talked all about the armed forces drones. That's amazing. Sam Rockwell's performance.
Yes.
Sam
Rockwell.
I love it even more. And dang it, I'm gonna say it again. Hasbro, get your act together. I want the Whiplash and the Sam Rockwell. I want that 2-pack. Like, come on, for Marvel Legends, you got to give them their due. I mean, that stuff I love. I love the journey of Tony Stark, even though, yes, it has its moments. But I really love where it ends. I am still amazed how messed up the movie could have been.
Yes,
some of
true.
the deleted scenes that we talked about.
Yeah,
finding that out is
that
incredible.
is something I will say, that knowing this, they made a lot of correct decisions. I mean, like, I've seen some movies where you find a deleted scene and you go, "Oh, that absolutely should have been in the movie." I did not feel that way at all with Iron Man 2.
No.
Like, so shout out to the editing team, because like there's not anything that I saw in the deleted scenes that I was like, "Oh man, I wish that was back in."
No, not the toilet.
Nope.
Not the weird
not
hair.
the opening. Not the closing.
Nope. All good. So, no, I will. I have a greater appreciation. I have a greater appreciation continually for movie making in general, the art of movie making.
Yeah,
and also the production and the business side of all that. And I will definitely have a deeper appreciation for this movie on future viewings, because I will definitely watch it.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. I'll watch it again too, because I have a different perspective on it now. To go actually watch it through and go, "Oh yeah, we talked about this. Oh, that's why they did this." To know sort of a little bit more of what we learned about the individual processes, and to watch the scene with Justin Hammer talking about all the different weapons. And you watch it now knowing that there's an earpiece in his ear and they're just feeding him the stuff, and he's just having to riff off of this really complicated stuff. I mean, that's just high wire acting right there. I love that. So, do you have you don't have to remember the particular minute. Do you have a particular episode that we've done over the last 125 that stands out to you as being memorable?
Well, I loved the conversation. I believe your friend Brooke was our guest.
Yes.
And the conversation about the whole relationship dynamic was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I thought that was real. That surprised me tremendously, and I just loved where that went.
Yeah.
I love the race, and I love talking about that. I think we just had a total fun with the battle sequence of the third act.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed that. And it's been really great as we've done this sort of retrospective over these last few minutes in a whole bunch of different ways. We've really enjoyed sharing, the behind the scenes for this season. With everyone, just kind of like on how we do what we do and how we'll continue to do it, because we have some ideas and we have other shows that we're a part of, and
that's right. Yeah, we are not done with podcasting. We're moving on from this show, but there are future things that we're working on, so you'll hear our voices again should you wish to. And
I also want to give a great big shout out, more than anything else, to our listeners. We love. I'm just going to say, we got to give a shout out to Paul Lee, our number one fan.
That's true.
In the Facebook lounge. Dude, you're awesome, because seriously, I love the fact, I wish I had more time to sometimes comment and stuff and engage on that. It just absolutely was amazing to see you do all these great deep dives into what we've discussed.
Yeah.
We have tremendously appreciated it. And everyone who has been a part of this and who's added to the conversation.
I will add to that list. I will add my friend Jason, who does not post any of this stuff, but I had not really spoken to him in probably 15 years or so. And this show he contacted me out of the blue and said, "Hey, you posted about the show, and I listened to it. It is now my favorite show." And so he sends me messages saying how much he enjoys it and that kind of stuff. And so that was always really nice to hear that someone I know is appreciating the stuff we did. So he's always a number one fan for me too, because it's nice to know that somebody appreciates the stuff you're doing. In the same way that it's nice to know that Paul, who we don't know personally, enjoys the show. That's two different sort of flavors, but both equally important.
No, and I know Jason, Joseph. There's been a whole bunch of other people that we've seen.
And of course, the silent majority. We're happy that you're all out there. I myself don't tend to post, as you've seen over the course of these couple of years. I'm sort of social media shy. I don't go on to the forums. I don't go on to Facebook and post stuff too. It's just not in my personal, web style or whatever. Right. But I appreciate it. And I've seen everything you've ever posted, everyone. Everything you've ever posted, I see it all. I just don't comment on it because, face brave, web shy.
No, we understand. But again, appreciate to everyone. And also, I want to give out thanks to Andy Nelson and Pete Wright.
Exactly.
The founders of this whole podcast. We are just immensely grateful for the opportunities that they have given and shared with us. And
for those of you who listened to Time for 13, you know that we were not polished professionals when we took over the show, so to give us their show and let us sort of run around like crazy on it, knowing that we are not super professional. It was a mark of trust, and we very much appreciate that because we have grown and learned and everything too. And also super nice of them to let us sort of step off. Like when it got to the point we had a conversation with them and they said, "Do you still want to do this?" Like we sort of had the conversation and said, "No, we're just not. We're time and energy and enthusiasm. We're just not there anymore. You need somebody who's going to love it and embrace it and go full on board." And I think they found that in Matthew.
Absolutely, totally, 100%.
So for the behind the scenes episode was super fun for me because I'd always wanted to do that, to talk about this, because I like that kind of stuff. I like knowing the behind the scenes of how stuff is made. Obviously, look at the show we just did for 125 or even 300 episodes, just digging in deep. For me, when I think about Iron Man 2, it's the dumbest thing. I can't remember the exact minute, but I'm laughing about it now in my head. There was a riff that we went on that was the silliest, dumbest, most inside, ridiculous thing. And it was when we were talking about Iron Man swooping in and grabbing Pepper and flying away. And we started talking about him doing an RKO on. We just did it was just this riff, and we just kept going and going on it. And God, we had to cut out because I was laughing so hard. We had to cut out all of my laughing, and even now I'm like tearing up. It was so silly and ridiculous.
No,
but
there's a couple episodes.
It was so much fun.
No, absolutely. I mean, I remember us just losing it, like just how much we crack ourselves up is obviously.
We do.
No, it's great. Well, last but not least, dude, this is such a pleasure and such just a great experience to do with you.
Yeah.
Totally enjoy it. I think people hear that and stuff when we get to interact. But this has just been a wonderful, wonderful experience to share with you, and I just always appreciate your diligence, your patience, your excitement, your shared love of all the things that we care about, and it's been great.
I yes, and all of that. I can't think of anyone else that I could have done this with. I've done 300-ish episodes. I mean, I actually don't even know what the number is. I'm just going to use that as a round number.
It's about
something like that. To do this with that, and to know when I go into it, even though it's like, oh man, we have to do all this work and everything too. I know that that the recording time is always going to be a good time.
Yes.
Like the thing that what people don't know about our recording thing is that we're still like this when the microphones aren't on. It's like, you've seen, like radio DJs or whatever. They'll be like, "Hey, you listen to K95 in the morning," and like the thing goes out, and they just like power down,
walk out.
There's even a Key and Peele sketch about like them doing knitting and working on a painting and stuff too, and then they go right back into it. But we still are laughing and joking and being silly, even in between episodes and stuff too. Like we are genuinely pleased to talk to each other. So it has been an absolute blast getting to spend all this time with you, just being silly and fanboying and talking about all these different things we love. I have enjoyed all the time. Even the work we put in being ready, and the post and the recording time is always super fun, and that is because of your enthusiasm for this and how much fun it is to be around you. So thank you for going along with this and making it super, super special for me.
Oh, you're very welcome, and ditto. That is awesome. Okay, so I also want to say now there is the last people we're going to thank because they are the most important.
Yes.
but you know exactly who I'm talking about.
I do, because I've made this mistake before, and I'm not going to make it again.
We have spouses.
We do.
Who are very generous with their love, affection, patience, and everything. And nothing is ever thrown at us,
No.
I believe. And just, wow. Thank you.
Yes, they do not listen to the show.
No.
Unless we put it on. Like, I sometimes will put it on in the car when she is in the car with me, just so she can hear it. I have made the mistake in accepting an award and forgetting to thank her. She didn't make the cut. So I'm not going to do that again. So yes, shout out to my wife for allowing me to do this, to handling the kids and the family business for 3 or 4 hours every Sunday as we go through and record all these things, and then random Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights as we have to pick up different things that we missed or have to do. They have been patient and diligent. We both married up.
Yes.
So we are lucky to have them, and so hopefully now we get to spend some time with them on these Sundays and give them some the attention that we have been lacking in because we've been too busy, doing wrestling jokes to each other back and forth during talking about Marvel movies.
Indeed.
So it has been an amazing ride. I have had so much fun. I have learned so much. I have laughed so much. I have had so much fun doing these and being part of the Marvel podcast community and everything. This has been a great time. Like I said, the show is not going away. We are just moving on to other things. Stay subscribed. Let Matthew and Andy have their chance to make the show their own, in the way that when we took over from Andy and Pete to do Incredible Hulk, we had to find our own way and move things around. They're going to have the same, give them some learning period of time. I think the show's going to be amazing. Like, just in the few conversations we've had sort of behind the scenes stuff too, I think Matthew has a very, very, very passionate, different, intelligent take on Thor that I think you're really going to want to be a part of. So make sure you listen to everything they have to say. All right, I think we've overstayed our welcome, so I think the people are ready to move on to other things. We hope you've had fun. We hope you've enjoyed your time with us even if it was just Iron Man 2, if it was all the way back from Incredible Hulk. We thank you for allowing us into your ears, into your cars, into your lives, into your headphones, whatever it has been. It has been our pleasure to bring these weird factoids and things to you. We hope you've had fun. We hope that you'll find us again in our future podcasting things, and we can have fun talking about maybe more than just Marvel stuff, because we have other interests as well. So what are your final thoughts, my friend?
Oh, all that, and I will just say this, as much as we are passionate about cool things, and we love sharing that passion with each other and with all of you, don't be afraid to share your passions with the things that you love and connect and get out there, especially for everything we've been through over the last year and a half, obviously.
Yeah.
Embrace it. It's awesome. If there's something you love, then share it with other people and find the people who share that love and enjoy it, because life is short and it should be enjoyed. So,
yes, love what you love and let everybody know about it.
There we go.
I think by now I'm going to say one of the things. So, you see, find us on Instagram, join the Facebook group, find us on Discord.
Yes.
You can buy our merch.
Yes.
And you know what? At this point, it doesn't matter if you leave us a review, because we'll be out the door by now. But, a review will help the next team, because the Marvel Movie Minute continues on.
Totally.
So leave it alone for the show, that it reinvents itself. It changes just like the MCU, and good things are coming. So, from Rob and I, thank you for listening. And so, for the last time, I will say, enough said.
Bye. And thanks.